Welcome to American Stories with me, your host, Amman Hydri. This original HCAM series has been created to share with you the journeys of people who have come to America and, overcoming personal and professional challenges, have made a successful life for them and their families. And this program will hear what they've experienced, learn how they have thrived, and what they've given back to the country and communities they live in and work in. Joining me today is Dr. Syed Muhammad Ali Tahir. Dr. Tahir has accomplished many titles in a short time, which includes Chief of Cardiology at Brockton Hospital, Director of Cardiac Labs, Instructor Medicine at Tufts Medical School, Postdoctoral Research Fellow at Harvard Medical School, and he's also responsible for many publications. So, before I waste any more time, I welcome our first guest, Dr. Muhammad. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for such a kind interview, and thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. So, I shared with the viewers, you have done a lot in a rather very short times, but we would like to learn a bit more about the journey, how you got here, and let's start up and opening up more about your childhood, where you were born, and let's talk a little bit about your background.
Sure. So, I was born in a small city in Pakistan, Khairpur. It's in the southern province, Sindh, northern part of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very hot, arid climate like Arizona here.
Mm-hmm.
So I did my metric, which is 10th grade,
Mm-hmm.
and equivalent to 10th grade here, from that town. And then I moved to Karachi, where I did my college and medical school from Dow Medical College.
Wow. And how about you? Tell me a little bit about your family, your parents. How many siblings are you?
Right. So my parents are my parents. So they both are teachers, professors,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and I have a brother and a sister.
Okay. And are they also in medicine, or are they just in different professions?
So my mother taught geology at a college level, but she spent most of her professional career in administration, education administration. My dad was a physics professor, and my brother is an engineer, so he works for Microsoft. He's one of the general managers there.
Okay.
And my sister is a physician.
Okay. So that's where the link is, and that it just brings me. My next question is actually, what prompted you to actually enter medicine?
Sure. So medicine, there are multiple reasons. So biology was my strength over maths. So I actually chose to go on biology side. And as you know, in Pakistan, you choose your careers very early in your life. So when you're 14, 15 years old, you have to decide which path are you going to take for your future education. And they are not very easily changeable like here. So I took biology for that reason. And then my sister was becoming a physician. So that was an inspiration for me. Then physicians themselves, they carry a lot of respect, just like here, anywhere in the world. So that was those were a few of the reasons that I
decided to move
in.
Yes. Yeah. So before we come over across borders, what were some of the challenges that you faced? I mean, when you're growing up in Pakistan.
Right. So as you probably know, Pakistan's political conditions are not very stable.
Right.
So you live through those challenges. And other than that, the education was in medical schools. So there was a lot of theoretical good knowledge. The books that we read were very similar to what they actually are read here, but due to lack of facilities, services, so the actual, so you had a lot of clinical experience with patients, but when it came to cutting edge procedures and technologies, you were a little short on that. So those were the challenges in medical college. Growing up, I had a very normal childhood, let's put it this way. So as a child, I would ride my bike to school. We had set time for, after we came home, for doing our homeworks and do our academics and then playtime and all that stuff.
Yep.
So
Interesting. Very interesting. So, what did, why did you decide to come to the U.S.? I mean, there's some great hospitals in Europe and in some other parts of the world. But why did you pick the U.S.?
right. So after you graduate from medical school, and if you're looking for overseas education in Pakistan, uh, there used to be basically two main choices. Either you go to America or you go to a British system.
Okay.
Now they have Australia and other places where physicians go. I chose US because my family had already planned to move to US. And that was the main reason.
Okay. And so when did you first land in the U.S.?
So I came here in October 1997 to do my electives
Okay.
in medical school.
All right. And did you come straight to Massachusetts?
Yes, so I did 2 months of electives in medicine at Boston Medical Center.
Okay. Whoever has actually moved over here, and I think so I face the same thing, that we all face a culture shock, and coming from two different cultures. So initially, what was your culture shock, if I may, when you first arrived here, and how did you actually overcome them?
Well, the serving size here is pretty big when it's coffee. So that was, well, this is on a lighter note.
Yeah.
But it was not big of a culture shock because we get exposure to the U.S. life through the programs and television shows. We used to watch Knight Rider and all those TV shows, and then Baywatch came there. So, so you are very familiar with U.S. culture. But still, so I think I really had to learn I personally, a lot of people did not. So the colloquial languages, language part. So those idioms and those phrases that are used in your communication here,
Right.
and which are not found in the book. So those were something new to learn. Yes, coffee is a specialty drink in Pakistan. It tastes much better than here, regular coffee. But now I love American coffee. So.
So typically, one question I usually ask all immigrants here are, so you moved to Massachusetts, which is considered, it's a very accepting and a very welcoming state. But back then, do you ever feel any sort of resentment from anywhere compared to now? And if you did, in a very short time, you have accomplished a lot. But how did that go with your peers? Did you ever feel any sort of resentment?
Right. So when it comes to my professional career, no. Actually, I was. It's a meritocracy is preferred. Is always respected in this country. So, and which is a big plus for this country. That's why it attracts so many people from all over the world.
Right.
I did not have any issues in that regard, and my program directors, my professors, they were very welcoming, always very respectful. As a physician, you do interact with everybody. So there were some times, I think 9/11 was one of the time when America was going through challenges.
Right.
And I was doing my residency. So those, some incidences happened, nothing very serious.
Okay.
But those were the times when you felt a little awkward, a little uncomfortable, but otherwise, that's the best place, like you said, Massachusetts, United States, for immigrants.
Right.
They're very accommodating.
So, you mentioned a little bit about some of the problems faced as being a physician with the patients, and that was back in 2000 and was after September 11. But now, do you still see some sort of the same patience, the same resentment that you said, or is it just has it really evolved over a period of time?
No, actually, my patients, I have a very good rapport with them, and no prejudice, no resentment, no discrimination.
Very good. Yeah.
I feel very blessed in that regard.
Very good. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your family over here. So, you just had a recent addition to the family. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, how many children do you have now?
I have four now, two boys and two girls.
Oh, wow. And how old are they?
Well, you had to ask that. So, my son my older son is almost 14. Then I have a 12-year-old daughter, then 9-year-old daughter, and a 1-month-old son.
Wow, wow. Keeping you up at night?
Yes, we're changing diapers regularly.
Generally, most of the immigrants have moved here, like myself and many other immigrants. We all have children here. And there's a stigma about, trying to teach and try to enforce these traditions and cultures that we come from to our children. And we want to preserve the same cultures and traditions. But on the other hand, our children they're born and raised here, and they come from a very different mindset. And there has been a lot of, I've heard from a lot of friends and people I know that the children are confused. That do we sort of, are we still related to our parents' traditions, or are we more Americanized? And there's always this problem with the culture clash for our kids. So now your kids are growing up here. How would you actually, what kind of environment would you give them? I mean, would you still keep them with our traditions, or would you sort of just let them go whatever they're comfortable with?
Right. So I guess with kids, we all want to give our religious values or cultural values to our children. You want your children to learn your language and speak it fluently, and I feel the same way. But you have to be realistic. So we live in the United States, and our children are American. So you take them to Sunday school, you familiarize them with your culture.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you have to you have to actually accommodate their needs also as American children. And that's what we do. We try to teach Quran and religious textures to our children, and they actually do very well in that. They also learn our native language, but at the end of the day, you have to communicate with them in their language, which is English, and you have to accommodate those.
Yeah, I do agree with you that I think it's important to keep them balanced and keep them moderate. I mean, unfortunately, this generation is whatever they see on TV, that's what they are sort of, there's a lot of resentment. But I think you're very right, we have to keep it balanced.
Right.
So another problem which I see in a lot of immigrant communities is, they're immigrants who move here, they've worked hard all their life to try to make something good for their kids. But they push them to either become doctors, engineers, or professionals. And so my question to you is, suppose your son wakes up one morning and says, Dad, I want to become an artist, or I want to become a songwriter or a rapper, right? Which is totally out of what our mindset is as immigrants. Sure. So how would you sort of address that? I mean, would you still, push them for someone like a doctor, or would you just let them do whatever they want?
Right. I guess we have this conversation at home, and all of us have it. And kids, they want to be artists, they want to be sports men, and they want to do things which are very attractive as a child. But we try to instill in our children that they have to have very good education, and they have to adopt a profession that will help them, which will secure their financially, that will secure them. Right. And everything else comes secondary. So you don't have to be a doctor, but you have to be a successful person in your life.
Yeah, I was just recently. I was reading that 50% of the startup companies in Silicon Valley are all owned by immigrants.
Yes.
And they haven't come from very affluent backgrounds, but they've worked hard and they've been focused here. So why, and I still ask myself the same question, that why is it that we see a lot of successful immigrants moving here? They've done very well here. And what is the reason you think that that is? I mean, they could easily be sidetracked and, they could be in bad company. but majority of the immigrants want to make it in this country. So
Right.
why is that? Why is there a strive in these immigrants?
So in general, immigrants anywhere. So if you look at human history, and I'm not a historian by any means, but if when the Roman Empire was at its peak, it attracted talent from everywhere.
Right.
So whether people were brought in as slaves or they flourished, there are a lot of literature that was uh, came out through like Greeks and all those. So in
Yep.
general, and then you come down and when Muslims were in powers, the Abbasides, and they actually did a lot of science and scientific progress. So in general, any country which is flourishing does attract talent. And that's one of the ways that they actually keep on growing. So if you look at America, just to underscore what you said, America probably has the most number of Nobel Prize winners, and not all of them are born Americans. They are immigrants. And this is the quality of this country, that you bring your talent, you bring your energy, and you bring your desire to be successful and work hard,
Yeah.
and you can implement it here and be successful.
So you touched a few times that being a Muslim in this country, and you being a Muslim and a successful Muslim in this country, what message would you give other Muslims who are living in the same community but have been struggling with the day-to-day, hurdles that they're facing all over, not only here but all over the United States?
Right. I would say just be yourself, and just whatever you are doing, whatever practices you're doing as Muslim, you should believe that you're doing it for good reason, and those are the right things you're doing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you need to accommodate the cultural values and challenges that come across as Muslim in this society.
Yeah.
So, and you have to find a happy medium.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do agree with you because, and I think we all we're seeing the same thing, that in every town or in every city, there are always these pockets of communities who are living in their own community, and I think it's very important, and I think you'd agree with me that we need to sort of blend in and
Right.
reach out and sort of live as neighbors. But we are seeing this trend, and it's getting tighter and tighter, I think. So wherever we go, especially in Massachusetts, I mean, we can look at Hopkinton too. There are pockets of very close-lit communities. So would you agree with me that we need to sort of blend in with other communities and for a better future for our children?
Absolutely. And if people don't do it at my level, like my generation or my children's generation, but our third generation will blend in eventually.
Yeah.
And that's how humanity has progressed.
Yep.
So,
So let's talk a little bit about your ambitions. So when have you been most satisfied in your life, and are there other ambitions that you still have to achieve here?
well, so the most gratifying, usually the time of my day or my life is after I take care of a heart attack patient.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with interventional cardiology, what we do, 50% of our work is dealing with emergencies, heart attack patients. And despite having all the first responder system here, CPRs and all that, the mortality from heart attacks is very high.
Wow.
Even in this country. So when these patients come to the ER and you rush them to the cath lab and you open up their blocked arteries, and their pain goes away within minutes. So that's one of the most this is one of the most gratifying fields of medicine.
Wow.
Interventional cardiology, and that's where I really feel very comfortable
Accomplished, yeah.
and very successful.
How would you deal, like someone with me, how would you deal with, a young patient who has unfortunately just passed because of cardiac reasons? How do you actually deal with that? I'm sure that you have actually, you shouldn't have a filter, right, rather, but how do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis?
It's tough. Breaking sad news or tragic news is very difficult. And You just console and
Yeah.
give you basically tell the family that you try your best, and but what is in fate does happen.
This happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
despite all those efforts.
are you saying? I mean, there is at least again. I go to Massachusetts. There's a lot of awareness here in health and all. But are you seeing a more of an increase in cardiac patients, or is it control, or is it even decreasing?
Sure. So it's an interesting trend which is coming out more with research is that the rate of strokes and heart attacks are rising in younger people in the United States. And we don't know why it is happening. People in 40s and 50s are getting more heart attacks. So so we have made a lot of progress in disease management and how to treat it, how to open blocked arteries. But the risk of having a heart attack is still there, and the incidence of myocardial infarction has not gone down.
Wow.
So it's still a lot of work needs to be done.
To do there. So now we're like towards the end of the show, but one question and rather a message. What message would you give immigrants who are moving here to the United States, and what kind of advice would you give them?
Sure. So first of all, I have to admit and say that America is one of the most accepting country for immigrants, which I have seen in the world for the immigrants. And the country itself, in its fabric, they have the sweat and hard work of immigrants. So no matter what the rhetoric is out there, my hope is it will always be immigrant friendly. With that, I always tell my juniors, my students, the way to achieve something is you set your goal and you strive for it. You work hard, you have to persevere, and at the end of the day, you get what you're looking for, provided if it is for a good cause. And that's my message to everyone, not just to immigrants.
No, I do agree with you, and I think we have always, it's been embedded with us that America is the land of opportunities, and I still believe that it's still a land of opportunities. Right. And as you just said, I think we have to be focused and just work hard, and I think you can easily accomplish whatever you want in this country.
Yes.
And that's what makes it
Totally
different.
agree.
Yeah. Your hobbies. What do you like to do off medicine hours?
I don't have many hobbies, so I was flying at one point, which was.
Is that right?
Yes,
Wow.
which I haven't been able to do in a long time.
Are you licensed, or are you still in training?
Oh, almost there.
Almost there. That's an expensive hobby.
Yes, but it's it is rewarding.
It is.
You just have to be careful.
Yep, absolutely. Well, as much as I, love to carry on, but unfortunately we have to. We're, approaching the time. But thank you very much for sharing this time with us. I really enjoyed learning about your stories.
Thank you very much, and pleasure was all mine.
Thank you, and also thank you for watching our series. I hope you have enjoyed learning about Dr. Tahir's journey. And to learn more about our show, please visit our webpage. I would also love to hear your comments and reactions to our show, and my contact information is on that page. Until next time, for American Stories, I'm Amman Hydri, and I wish you safe travels.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you!
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
I'm heading out, man. You want to ride?
No, I got my car, but I actually really need to go to the bathroom.
Dude, are you okay?
I am definitely buzzed.
Yeah.
I think I will take this and I will take that ride home.
My name is Connor. My name is Nina. Gunny. I'm Haley. Hi, my name is Jake. We're the Hiller volleyball team. My name is Emma. My name is May. My name is Shelby. My name is Sophie.
We're Alma Gal and we love HCAM.
We love HCAM.
And I volunteer for HCAM TV.
And I watch HCAM TV. And I love HCAM TV. And I love HCAM TV.
We love HCAM TV. Woo!
Are you worried about letting your child take the wheel? Maybe you should also be worried about what you're doing behind the wheel. Have you ever sent a quick text, just this once? Well, that might turn into a catastrophic accident. Monkeys see what monkeys do. If you do it, why wouldn't your child? In a child's brain, almost all things their parents do, they can do too. 78% of teen drivers surveys text and drive. 59% said their parents do it too. Stop texting and driving, because if you do it, your child will too.